Have you decided to pack it in and maybe things aren't working out like you anticipated when you had dreams of becoming a real estate investor? Or maybe you've had dreams of becoming a house flipper, rehabbing houses like you see on the shows on TV, or even a star-studded real estate agent like on the shows that are so popular these days. Well, my friend, my name is Stephen Howell, and before you pack it in, before you call it a day, I want to share with you a couple of top reasons why I see people quitting real estate. And my friend, my goal here with this video is to inspire two types of people. Number one, someone who is wanting to get into real estate. I think it's very important that you understand what's causing some turnover, what's causing some attrition, because there's a lot of people who flood into the real estate game, and then there's a lot of people who flood out. And I want you to understand some things, because a lot of times people come in with a lot of hopes and dreams and they're leaving the real estate world brokenhearted, frustrated, and it's another dream that was crushed. And I don't want that to happen to you, so I want you to be armed with some tangible things here and give you some good expectations. The second person I hope to inspire with this video is maybe someone who's holding on to their last leg, their last ounce of hope. Maybe you're a real estate agent, maybe you're a broker, maybe you are a real estate investor, a landlord, a wholesaler. I want this video to be a glimmer of hope maybe for you. So I think it's important that we really get a handle on this, because if you're trying to come into this industry or you're already here, I think it's important you understand why people are leaving. So let's get right to it, guys. There's going to be somewhere in the ballpark of 5 reasons, but I want this video to be short, sweet, to the point, so let's get going. So the number one reason why people quit is because of this. Lack of results, or no money being made, right? So quite literally, if you came into this business and you are just absolutely crushing it, you're making hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, and you have a life of freedom, there wouldn't be people, quitting the industry as much, right? So if you are making a ton of money, you're helping a lot of people, and things are going well, then obviously you wouldn't be quitting real estate. So there's no beating around the bush, and this one obviously might not surprise you. So people come into this real estate world, they're not getting the results that they hope, the lifestyle, the dream, the freedom, and there's a lot of different things we could say about this, and that's one of the top reasons why people are quitting real estate. So the rest of this conversation is going to kind of stem from this, because this is a surface level thing, right? This is the surface level thing of like why people are leaving, because like I said, if they're getting results, they're not going to be leaving. So surface level, but we want to go a lot deeper than that. So let's go to a pillar that kind of stems off of this. So one of the reasons why people are quitting and why they're getting lack of results is, let's see here. Let me look at my handy dandy notes that I have. All right, so it's lack of support. So quite literally, in this business, in the entrepreneur world, in the real estate world, it's a little different, right, than having a corporate job, an office job. You are a little bit more of kind of an independent, responsible for getting results, on your own. And even though you might work in a brokerage, you might work on a team, you might work under the wing of someone, a lot of times in the real estate world, you're kind of your own person. You're your own boss, and that's what's so attractive about it. But that's also what can be so scary. And after you really kind of dive in and you start looking around and maybe a few things hit the fan, it's like, you know what, like, where is my help? Where is my support? And that's one of the things that breaks my heart more than anything. I have a little pattern interrupt for you, and I just want to welcome you to this channel. If this is your very first video of mine that you're checking out, welcome. My name's Stephen Howell, and I'm glad to have you here. If you've been around, if you've been watching these videos on a consistent basis, thank you first and foremost. And whether you're new or you've been here for a while watching my content, I want you to know that I'm grateful to have you as a viewer and as a subscriber. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I would strongly suggest you subscribing to the channel here, because I have a lot of awesome content. I have my Evernote file of like 30 videos that I'm doing on stuff that I've heard from you in the comments. And we're just going to be having a lot of fun with different contests and giveaways and case studies of students and things like that have been doing deals. So guys, I love recording these videos. I've had a ton of fun, and I just want you to know that you watching my content and my videos, it means a lot first and foremost, and I don't take it for granted, okay? And I would love if you've ever considered quitting real estate, or you're just getting into it and you have certain fears or aspirations and hopes and dreams. I want to hear from you in the comments. Let me know what you're going through, and let me know what other content and videos like this that you want to see, if there's any subtopics you want me to talk about in the future. And I actually take time to respond to comments and do my very best at responding to each and every comment, as well as, I pay attention to them. So with that being said, let's get back to it here. So lack of support. This one, I've gotten very acquainted with this one, and let's just break down the practicality here, right? If you were getting the results that you wanted, you were making the money, had the lifestyle, and you had all of the support, and that could be getting questions answered, exactly like what to do in certain situations, because the truth is, you can watch something or you can go through something, and then there's going to be a million little one-off questions that happen, right? And so what happens when we get into real estate, whether you're a real estate agent and you're at a brokerage and you had certain aspirations and dreams of being an all-star real estate agent, and then you get into the game and there's 1,000 different little scenarios that presents itself, and not knowing what to do next, and maybe the person that you got started with wasn't as encouraging and as supportive as you thought they might be. Maybe you've been going at the real estate investing game alone. And what I want to share with you is I want you to know first and foremost that I've been there, and I know how painful and how scary and how frustrating that can be. And right above this portion of the video, what I'll do is I'm going to link to a little documentary, a little 10 or 11 minute documentary that kind of shared my experience with this. Because when I started with one of my best friends and my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, I started getting into real estate investing. I was sold into a really high-level coaching program, and then when I had questions, right? When I had questions and when I was trying to implement the things I was learning, I would have to dial into a 1-800 number, and basically I was outsourced to a call center. And it was very, very frustrating. And when I would have a question about like what to do next, and what to offer and what to do on certain real estate deals, I was talking to a transaction specialist who I later found out was kind of reading out of a manual. And I kind of knew something was weird, because they were just kind of repeating the question back to me, and they weren't really invested in what I was doing. So I want you to know that I've been there. I have time and time again. I talk with people. First off, you may or may not know that I do mentor and coach people across the nation, real estate investors, and I help them to do their first handful of deals. And I've done that for about 4 years now. And over on my blog, Productive Wisdom, I offer a free strategy call. And I got a whole ton of goodies prepared there for you, and I reveal my #1 lead source and a bunch of cool training that you may or may not have seen before. But anyways, I'm not trying to talk about that, but I say that because I've had the unique opportunity over the years to talk with literally thousands of people. And I can't tell you how many times people have come to me like just so frustrated, because they're like, Steven, I've invested $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 into this high-level national program. So I remember one time I was talking to this lady named Rebecca, and she had just invested $47,000 into one of these big fancy programs. and she had more software, more resources, more manuals and books and scripts than she could pray over. She had so much information, but her mind was just spinning. Like, she's like, well, I could do this and this and this. And now she's invested this huge fortune into this massive education, and she's massively in debt. Now, she actually at the time had a couple of wholesale real estate deals, wholesale real estate investing. That's one of the areas that I specialize in. And she didn't know what to do. She didn't know what to do next because she did not have support. She had, a 1-800 number, again, that she could dial into. So that's just one example in the world of real estate investing and wholesaling with the big fancy programs out there. But this also can happen if you're a real estate agent. Or if you're a landlord or a rehabber. Maybe you started, you got the idea of like, well, hey, my brother is an amazing general contractor. I'm going to go into business with him and we're going to start flipping houses. And then you start doing that, and it's a little bit more challenging. It's a little bit more to manage than you anticipated. There's a little bit more capital required, and stuff hits the fan, and it doesn't always work out like the textbook says, right? So lack of support is a huge thing, not knowing what to do next. And real estate is a world where it kind of operates how things used to, like back in the early 1900s and the 1800s, things like that, when people kind of worked under someone, like a doctor or like a metal worker back then. Like there was an apprentice, and they trained under someone. And real estate works a lot like that. So it's very helpful if you can model after someone who's already doing well, and you can have intimate and personal access with them for all the million of little one-off questions. And if that is not possible, now typically that does come with a certain price to get that close access to them. But my friend, I've always lived by this saying, and this, when I was kind of going through some painful times, I clung to this saying: to do what you can from where you are with what you've got. So being resourceful is a huge thing. And if you don't have access to a mentor, the next best thing is having a specific step-by-step game plan, a specific blueprint of what to do with a specific strategy. And it's helpful if that's a little bit different, if you have a little unique twist that's a little different than what everybody else is doing. But because if you're just kind of running with the masses, you're doing what everybody's doing, a lot of times you're running in the wrong direction. Lack of support. I just want you to know more than anything, my friend, to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep seeking. Seek and you shall find. It is true. Keep believing, keep hoping, keep seeking, and the right person will come about. It is possible. I want you to know that I've been there 1,000%. I know it's painful, but I want you to keep going. And like I said, you can check out my documentary where I kind of let you know some practical ways of kind of how I overcame that hump when I was really, really going through the fire. But I recognize this is certainly a reason why people are quitting real estate. So it's vitally important that you either find someone that you can literally talk to in some way, shape, or form, email, phone call, whatever it is, the same person who's vested in your success over and over and over for all the one-off things that can happen, or you are following a specific step-by-step blueprint with a specific strategy in mind. That is a great way to overcome, lack of support, right? And being part of a community. So my friend, I want you to know I'm grateful for you to be part of the Productive Wisdom family and community here in this YouTube channel. So let's start interacting. Comment below. I want this to be a place that's very helpful. And I want you guys on YouTube to interact with one another, support each other, lift each other up. And again, I don't take it lightly that you're coming to these videos. So if you're interested in one-on-one support with real estate, I do specialize in wholesaling, and that's something that I'm more than happy to entertain with you. So you can click the link above here if you're interested in applying to my one-on-one mentoring program. I also have a step-by-step wholesaling blueprint, and you can always get more information on that. So let's keep this thing rolling here. So number 3, the reason why, and I'm going to flip to a new page here. Okay. So the reason why, let's see here. Boom. All right, third reason why people are quitting. The third reason why people are quitting is proactivity, consistency, and resourcefulness. Now, I admit this one is gonna sting. So especially if you have a little bit of thin skin and you don't like a little constructive criticism, this one might sting. But my job here as a leader and as someone who's producing this content, I always tell the people that I work with that I'm not always gonna tell you what you want to hear, but I'm going to try to tell you what's true and what's right and hopefully what you need to hear. And a huge reason why people quit, again, is because they don't have the support and they're not getting results. And one of the reasons why they're not getting results is because they're not being proactive enough, they're not being consistent long enough, and they're not being resourceful enough, okay? So the nature of a real estate investor, a real estate agent, a wholesaler, whatever aspect you're in, you're kind of, like I said, it's an independent, you are a, for lack of a better term, you're a small business owner, and the sales and all of that are not going to come in by themselves, so we have to take massive action. We have to be very, very proactive. It doesn't mean we need to work 15 hours a day. We can work with, we can work with strategy. We can work smart. We can do things very strategically. But like I said, this one is gonna hurt a little bit, right? Because it's never fun to say that it's our fault. It's a lot of times it's easier to push the buck, to pass the buck to someone else. Well, my broker or my the person that I was partnering with, they didn't do a good enough job, or the book that I read, or the manual, or the 3-day seminar that I went to, or my job, or my personal life, or whatever else. There's all these reasons why, but what we don't often do is say, well, you know what, I didn't take enough action. I didn't do the right things. I didn't do them long enough. And when problems and obstacles came, they came a little bit more fast and furious than I anticipated. And, if I'm honest, I wasn't as resourceful as I could have been to overcome those problems. That's not the sexiest answer, and that's not a lot of times what we'll say. A lot of times it's so much easier to pass the buck onto something else. But the truth of the matter is, if you are insanely proactive for a long, long, long time, and you're very resourceful when something happens and something bad happens, right? And an obstacle and a trial and a headache and a hurdle that requires hard work and critical thinking and just, figuring out how to get around, get through, get over something when life is hard, which it oftentimes can be, right? Especially when you're trying to build a business and get over that hump. If you are those things, my friend, what I know about you is you're probably not going to be quitting real estate because you're getting results, right? And you're making things happen. So this one, we could do a whole nother training on this, but when you watch, in the link above, when you watch my documentary, one of the kind of epiphanies that I had is that I needed to become a producer and not just a consumer of information. I needed to actually produce. And I started to track what I was doing, and I started taking specific actions. And I started to have pretty darn productive weeks. And then I started to have multiple weeks where I was productive. And then all sorts of stuff started happening. And then I started to try to get as creative as I could to figure out, again, my saying it's not my saying, what am I talking about? The quote, the phrase that I kind of clung to was, well, maybe I don't have money to do this. Maybe I can't add this fancy bell or whistle over here, or do this, or maybe all these other guys over here, they have all this technology. I don't really have that. I don't really understand that. But here's what I do know, and here's what I can do. So that saying is, do what you can from where you are with what you've got. Okay, maybe you don't have money to build a website. Maybe you don't have money to put out signs or whatever the case is, or to do certain mailers. There's a student of mine that started working with me a few years back, and I remember he was just out of college. He was making minimum wage. He didn't have a lot of marketing dollars, and he was doing one of my my number one lead sources, and is very minimal mailings. It's a lead source that you don't have to send a lot of mail out, and he didn't even have enough money for the stamps and the envelopes. So he's like, you know what, Steven? I'm just gonna hit the phones, and I'm gonna call a little bit more. I'm gonna network a little bit more. I'm gonna do these other things a little bit better because I don't have the money. I don't have a printer. I'm not able to do these other things. So my friend, I just want to encourage you on this, that if, watch that documentary, because I really hope that will motivate and inspire you. But this is an area, there's a lot of things you can't control, but this is an area that whether you believe you can be resourceful, consistent, or proactive, whether you believe it or not, the truth is you can be all of those things, okay? So enough said about number 3. Let's keep going here. Number 4. It's distractions, and I might even end up spelling this wrong, but who cares? Interruptions. So one of the reasons why people quit real estate or quit anything is because they become distracted or they get interrupted on things. In the culture that we live in, this is a huge issue, right? It's a huge issue in your day-to-day productivity and your proactivity. It's a huge issue in your week-to-week, and it's a huge issue in what you're doing, your purpose in life, and what you're doing in your career. And a lot of times it's the grass is green on the other side of the fence, right? When different problems, like, when we talk about resourcefulness, problems, that solving problems is the life of an entrepreneur. And as a real estate agent, as a real estate broker, as a real estate investor, you're in some capacity an entrepreneur, and your ability to overcome problems, not avoid problems. See, a lot of times people think, well, I'm just going to do this secret strategy, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to get rich, and then I'm not going to have certain problems. And although as more and more income comes in and the more skilled you get, the problems that used to be these mountain skyscraper problems, they become like these little tiny pieces of grass that you're like, just get out of here. It's not even a problem anymore, because you're so much more skilled, you're so much more well-connected, or you have more revenue and things like that to be able to outsource and do different things. But regardless, it's because a lot of times we want to avoid problems that the grass looks greener on the other side. Well, maybe I'm just going to go do this other strategy. I'm going to try to figure out how to get leads coming in this way or that way. And I'm going to, or I'm just going to hop to this other career. I'm going to do this other thing because, you know what, that might be a little less stressful, or, whatever the case is. So there is an entrepreneur that had a quote that said, 2 of our chief competitors here as we are progressing into 2018 and beyond, 2 of your biggest competitors are going to be these 2 things. And your ability to get good at dealing with these on a daily and a weekly basis. And this is, as far as what you're allowing in your mind on social media, TV, podcasts, all sorts of things, the flow of information, into you, your ability to kind of control that and filter what comes in and then naturally what flows out, and how you deal with these things is going to, have a huge impact on the results that you get when we flip back over to page 1 over here, right? So just know that this is a huge thing, right? Being able to stay laser focused. I'm a huge fan in less is more. You don't need to be a jack of all trades. You don't need to do 12 or 15 different things. A lot of times you need to do 1 or 2 or 3 things and do them very, very well. And you have to do them consistently. A lot of times people underestimate the amount of initial action, and they think okay, it's going to take this amount of work, which in reality it's going to take this amount of work. However, if we just keep going and we do that amount of work, what they don't see is that momentum and connections and resources and other things start to happen, and you always don't have to do this amount of work. But just like when you start anything, just like a plane taking off or a rocket ship, it takes more fuel in the beginning to get moving and to get going. So a lot of times people aren't, they're overestimating how consistent and how proactive they really need to be. They think they're being proactive. They think they're being consistent. And I know how it was. I mean, when I started, I had a full-time job. It was easy to put like a couple days together or a week together, but it was hard to put multiple weeks together, guys. And I get that. So there's the human side of it as well, where it's like you're going to make mistakes, you're going to fall down. But I want you to have endurance, and more than anything, I want you to keep going because it's worth it. It is absolutely worth it. All right, guys, so number 5 here, and this is going to be the final one, is wrong expectations. Okay, wrong expectations. And this could be wrong expectations with, how much action is needed. How much action. How long. So how long you need to take that action, how consistently, how resourceful, how many problems are going to come up. So wrong expectations on that, how long it's going to take to actually get results, to get the certain level of income coming in, to get the right connections, the right mentor, those things, right? So if I were to ask you, do you think real estate is a get-rich-quick thing? You'd probably say no. Real estate, I understand that more millionaires are created in real estate than any other niche, that houses and lodging has always been around. It's always been an asset. I've read the books Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and, Stephen, I get that real estate is a viable way to create wealth. And, I can't deny that I see people out there, on the internet making money. I see rock star real estate agents. I see house flippers. I see landlords. You probably even know of a few, maybe personally. I see wholesalers. I see people doing it, so I can't deny that it's not possible. And that's a lot of times, my friend, where we start to beat ourselves up on the inside. Well, maybe they just know the secret. Well, maybe they're just better than I am. Maybe they're just more connected. All these different things, right? So a lot of times people are quitting real estate because they have the wrong expectations of how much action needs to be taken, how long it's going to take, how many problems and trials and obstacles, and how to deal with those type of things. And then also wrong expectations with I need to be like a hardcore salesman to be successful, and that's not true. And I've done other videos on that, guys, and that's something I really believe in, because I myself, when I got into this business, I was very timid. I was an introvert. I still can be an introvert, believe it or not, at certain times. And ethics and honesty and integrity is a huge thing to me. So I didn't want to trade money for just being some hardcore used car salesman or something like that. I was grateful after a lot of trial, tribulation, failure, and doing it the wrong way, of coming up under the right mentors and following the right training, where I developed those right inner skills to have belief and have faith in myself, and to increase my skills and to realize and have that belief. And that's why it means so much to me personally. And I want you to know that you can be successful, that you can get results, and you can maintain integrity. Now, what you don't necessarily want to be is just a complete pushover, nice guy, nice gal, people pleaser, that type of thing. Because number one, that's not necessarily operating with integrity in the first place if you're just a yes man or a yes woman, or you're just kind of a people pleaser, right? So that's a huge thing in real estate with wrong expectations as well. Is, sometimes, people do not have thick enough skin, right? So, as an investor, even as a realtor, you're going to be processing through a lot of leads. You're going to hear the word no a lot of times. And if you're a yes man, like I used to be when I got into this industry, that's very painful. You feel like if you just do something, the right way, why in the world aren't they going to, agree to that? Well, so that's something to develop in this business that thankfully over time I have developed, is to get thick skin. And it's okay if somebody says no. It doesn't mean we need to be aggressive. It doesn't mean that we need to beat them over the head with information. We can simply come to them and say, hey, here's the cool solution that I have. It's cool if it works for you. If it's cool if it doesn't. And kind of a little secret here that I'll just share with you is if you lead with value and you lead with a little bit of education, that's a huge way to overcome, and people will naturally be drawn to you because you're operating from the mentality of giving rather than taking, right? We always give first before we receive. It's a big, big concept. So we get paid. There's a quote out there by someone, I don't remember his name. In business, we get paid for in direct proportion to the value that we give to the marketplace. So that's a huge thing that we need to do, is increase the value that we're giving to our customers, to our sellers, to whoever you're in business to help, right? So how can I sum up these 5 things? Wrong expectations, distractions, interruptions, not being proactive, consistent, and resourceful enough, lack of support, and just not making the money, not getting the results that you were after, right? A lot of, and as you can see, there's no one thing. There's going to be different things for each one of you watching this video, and a lot of these things are interconnected, okay? But a huge thing is, like I said in the beginning, and let me flip back to it here, a lot of it stems from that you're not getting the support and you're not getting the results. You're not making the money that you thought you were going to make fast enough, because if you were a millionaire, if you had a life of freedom, you're probably not always, right? Maybe you've got called to do something else, maybe philanthropy or different things in your church or whatever. You're called to do something else. But if you were where you wanted to be in real estate, you probably wouldn't be quitting. So I want to end this video by illustrating it this way. So here's where you're at right now, okay, and here's where you want to go, right? So if we kind of like diagram this out, and actually that'd probably be helpful since I have a whiteboard here. Let's see. Okay. So if here's where you are right now, okay, here's you, and here's where you want to be, right? Okay, so this is a huge thing, and I want you to really, really get this. This is worth writing down. So here's how we fix all of that, right? And if over here is, let's say, whatever that means to you, whatever your why is, whatever your why in this business, if it's to, quit your job, if it's, money, success, if it's to travel, if it's to, retire your parents or save money for your kids or spend more time with your spouse or give to church or charity or whatever your deep reason why is over here, and you're considering quitting real estate, you haven't got where you want to be fast enough yet, what you want to focus on between here and here is, rather than money, I'm not, Steven, I got bills, I got, this and this, I'm not making the money, that I need to make. I want you to focus on the skills and the value. Remember, we get paid in direct proportion to the value. So if you're just constantly thinking about the money, 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 I want you to shift the focus to be on the skills. So maybe you need to get better at communicating and talking with people, right? Maybe you need to get better at lead generation. Maybe one of the reasons you're not producing income is because you don't have enough leads. A lot of times it's around marketing and branding. Maybe you're not very good at marketing. You don't understand marketing. People don't know that you exist, that your business exists, that the solution your business provides exists. So maybe the skill of marketing and branding, maybe the skill of lead generation. Maybe you have tons of leads coming in, but you're not really going on many appointments. You're not closing many sales. You're not getting many properties under contract, for example. So maybe you got to get a little bit better at the conversion process. Maybe you got to get better at building rapport and networking and talking with people. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's the distraction and the interruptions. Maybe it's the personal stuff. Maybe it's the consistency, the day-to-day routine, the resourcefulness when problems come. Maybe you shut down, and that's a skill that we got to really kind of identify and become aware that you're like, you know what, that's an issue for me. I got to do something about this. Maybe it's buyers on the back end that's a struggle for you. Maybe it's filling out contracts and the paperwork. Maybe it's the organizational side of things. Maybe it's growing and scaling your business and hiring people. There's different things, different skills and different things to focus on. So if you become very, very proactive, very resourceful, and your entire focus is on these things right here, instead of like over here, I just need to make money because I want to do this, but this is your whole focus, is getting better at these things all the time, and you have a game plan, you're focused, and you're committed to doing whatever you need to do, and you're reaching out, you're seeking for support, you're hungry, you're moving, you're just going. You're going to get here a lot faster because you're building yourself up with skills and resources and connections, and before you know it, you're getting closer and closer to this. And the thing is, my friend, this does not have to take years. A lot of times it doesn't even have to take months. If you clear away a lot of the clutter, it can happen so much faster than you probably realize. But the biggest thing I want to tell you, and one of the most rewarding things, and it's very, very hard in our culture right now to do this, but it's to have endurance, right? I want you to just see it through. Whatever you do, just keep going. Don't quit. You will be so happy when you see this through and when you develop these skills. It's going to make a difference in your family and your life and your business and your psyche, everything. Just don't quit. Just keep going is my message for you. And whether you're brand new, getting started, whether you've been at this a while, I hope there's been some value in here for you. If you liked this video, or if you didn't like this video, either way, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell. In the description, if you're interested in my step-by-step exact blueprint and game plan, highly encourage you to check out the Ultimate Wholesaling Blueprint. If you're looking for some more personalized one-on-one support, you can always head over to StephenHowellMentoring.com and apply for one-on-one mentoring. And if you want some really good, powerful, free content, head over to my blog at productivewisdom.com. But either way, guys, I hope this video provided you value. I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Take care.